This is Team 1. In this video, we are going to discuss about economic and financial environment of Greater Oceania region. Australia is located in the southern hemisphere, and it is surrounded by the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. New Zealand is an island country located in the southwestern Pacific Ocean. Indonesia is located in the Southeast Asia. Market Potential Index comparison. In market size, New Zealand ranks first. New Zealand leads in growth rate, 36%, and Indonesia at 52%. Market intensity, Australia 63, New Zealand 59, Indonesia 29. Consumption capacity, Australia 29, Indonesia 27, New Zealand 20. Commercial infrastructure, New Zealand 66, Australia 62, Indonesia 52. Country risk, New Zealand 100, Australia 94, Indonesia 67. Overall, Australia edges with 35, while New Zealand and Indonesia tie at 33. Australia leads in FDI net inflows with $56,237 billion, while Indonesia records $15.12 billion and New Zealand $6,968 billion. Indonesia faces the highest inflation at 7.828%, Australia follows with 4.209%, and New Zealand with 3.618%. Indonesia leads in GDP growth, 7.172%, with New Zealand at 5.309% and Australia at 2.157%. Population density is lowest in Australia, 334, highest in Indonesia, 144.65, and New Zealand in between, 1941. Total population, Indonesia, 275,501, 339, Australia, 25,978, 935, New Zealand, 5,020, 100. Urban population growth, New Zealand, 1,754%, Indonesia, 1,272%, Australia, 0,358%. Australia's state of the economy. Australia's state of the economy has been marked by resilience amid the COVID-19 pandemic, with recovery measures focusing on fiscal stimulus and monetary policies. Trade and exports have faced challenges due to disrupted global supply chains but are gradually rebounding. The housing market has experienced robust growth, fueled by low interest rates and government incentives. Employment rates have improved, although certain sectors continue to face challenges. Infrastructure spending remains a key driver of economic growth, with investments in transportation, energy, and digital infrastructure. Environmental concerns persist, prompting initiatives for renewable energy adoption and conservation efforts. Australia country risk rating. The political and economic situation is good. A basically stable and efficient business environment nonetheless leaves room for improvement. Corporate default probability is low on average. The business environment is very good. Corporate financial information is available and reliable. Debt collection is efficient. Institutional quality is very good. Intercompany transactions run smoothly in environments rated A1. Australia, household income per capita. In June 2020, Australia's annual household income per capita declined to $30.91 million USD from $34.7 million USD in June 2018. This marked a deviation from the upward trend seen since June 1995, with an average value of $25.2 million USD. Notably, the data reached an all-time high of $43.8 million USD in June 2012, but also hit a record low of $15.7 million USD in June 2001. Despite fluctuations in household income, retail sales in Australia demonstrated resilience, growing by 4.217% year-over-year in May 2023, according to the latest reports. Australia exchange rate against USD. In May 2023, Australia's short-term interest rate, measured by the Bank Acceptance Bill's rates for a 90-day period, stood at 4.042% per annum. Simultaneously, the long-term interest rate, represented by the Australian government's 10-year bond yield, was reported at 3,500% per annum. Additionally, the cash rate, which serves as the policy rate and is determined by the cash target rate, was set at 3,600% per annum in April 2023. Australia exchange rate against USD averaged 1.5105 USD in May 2023, compared with 1.495 USD in the previous month, Australia currency. The Australian dollar was introduced on 14 February 1966, replacing the Australian pound. It became the official currency of Australia at that time. Australian dollar is represented by the ISO 4217 code AUD, and is symbolized by or AU. Australian dollar is divided into 100 smaller units called cents. The Reserve Bank of Australia, RBA, is responsible for issuing Australian dollar banknotes and coins. 1 Australian dollar, AUD, is equivalent to 0.66 US dollars, cost of living comparison. The cost of living of a person is $22.93 in Australia and $2,433 in the United States, and it clearly says that US is expensive for a person to live. However, the cost of living in Australia compared to the USA varies depending on factors such as location, lifestyle, and personal spending habits. Generally, Australia tends to have a higher cost of living than many parts of the USA, particularly in major cities like Sydney and Melbourne. New Zealand's state of the economy. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, New Zealand navigated economic challenges through containment efforts. The government swiftly implemented recovery measures, including stimulus packages, to stabilize and revitalize the economy. Trade and exports, particularly with China, remained pivotal in shaping economic performance. In the housing market, varied trends emerged, with some regions witnessing growth while others encountered hurdles. Employment initiatives and infrastructure spending were key focuses, alongside growing considerations for environmental concerns in economic policies and planning. New Zealand country risk rating. The political and economic situation is good. A basically stable and efficient business environment nonetheless leaves room for improvement. Corporate default probability is low on average. The business environment is very good. Corporate financial information is available and reliable. Debt collection is efficient. Institutional quality is very good. Intercompany transactions run smoothly in environments rated A1. New Zealand household income per capita. In June 2023, New Zealand's annual household income per capita stood at $29 million USD, slightly lower than the previous year's figure of $29.7 million USD. This data, updated yearly since June 2007, has shown an average value of $24.1 million USD over the years. New Zealand exchange rate against USD. In May 2023, the average exchange rate of the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar stood at 1.609 USD, marginally lower than the previous month's rate of 1.610 USD. Exchange rate against USD averaged 1.609 USD in May 2023. New Zealand currency. The New Zealand dollar replaced the New Zealand pound in 1967. It became the official currency of New Zealand at that time. The Reserve Bank of New Zealand is responsible for issuing New Zealand dollar banknotes and coins. 1 USD is equal to 1.62 New Zealand dollar. Cost of living comparing to USA. As we can see, an average cost of living per person is $1950 in New Zealand compared to $2,433 in US. On average, the cost of living in New Zealand is approximately 77% less expensive than in the United States. In Indonesia, the COVID-19 pandemic has profoundly impacted the economy, prompting the government to implement recovery measures. Trade and exports, vital for Indonesia, face disruptions, affecting economic performance, alongside growing environmental concerns, urging sustainable practices and conservation efforts. A somewhat shaky political and economic outlook and a relatively volatile business environment can affect corporate payment behavior. Corporate default probability is still acceptable on average. The business environment is acceptable. Corporate financial information is sometimes neither readily available nor sufficiently reliable. Household expenditure per capita. In December 2022, Indonesia's annual household expenditure per capita reached 1 million USD, showing a slight increase from the previous year's figure of 1.06 million USD, according to the latest available data. This data has been updated yearly since December 2000, reflecting an averaged value of 0.77 million USD over the years. Exchange rate against USD. In May 2023, the average exchange rate of the Indonesian rupiah against the US dollar stood at 14 million USD, showing a slight decrease from the previous month's rate of 14.8 million USD. This exchange rate data is regularly updated on a monthly basis. Indonesia currency. The Indonesian rupiah has been the official currency of Indonesia since 1949, following the country's independence. It replaced the Dutch East Indies guilder. The Indonesian rupiah is represented by the ISO 4217 code IDR and is symbolized by RP or IDR. 1 US dollar is equal to 0.0064 Indonesian rupiah. Indonesia cost of living comparison to USA. As we can see, the cost of living in Indonesia is way less compared to US. Economic and financial strengths and challenges of the three countries. Australia boasts a stable and diverse economy supported by a strong banking sector, abundant natural resources, robust export markets, and well-established infrastructure. Challenges. However, it faces challenges such as external vulnerability to global economic trends, high household debt levels, dependence on China's economy, environmental sustainability concerns, and issues regarding income inequality and housing affordability. New Zealand. Economic and financial strengths. New Zealand relies on its resilient agricultural sector, stable political environment, strong trade relationships, progressive economic policies, and a thriving tourism industry for economic stability. Challenges. Despite its strengths, New Zealand grapples with challenges including a housing affordability crisis, vulnerability to natural disasters, geographic isolation, limited market size, and rising income inequality. Indonesia. Economic and financial strengths. Indonesia possesses a large and growing domestic market, abundant natural resources, improving infrastructure development, a diversified export base, and potential demographic dividend. Challenges. However, Indonesia faces challenges like infrastructure deficits, income inequality, regulatory complexity and corruption, vulnerability to external shocks, and environmental degradation, along with climate change effects. Here are the references.